If you're not interested maybe in a regular singing commitment, but would like to try improvised song circle, we offer that once a month here, and it's happening today from 3 to 5. All people are welcome to join if you like to be in the moment and use your voice. We've started Hatha Yoga small group on Wednesday evenings from 7:30 to 9. That's led by Christina Keel. Please bring your own mat and talk to her if you'd like to be a part of it. She's there to talk to after service. Also, Building Your Own Theology small group led by our contract minister, Reverend Pat Trudeau, begins today from 1 till 2:30. It's not too late to be a part of that. Info's in the cappuccino room, and I believe folks are meeting in the minister's office. Neighborhood Gallery presents Ravinder Rupri's Circle and Lauren Renzetti's Meadow Meditations. Those are in the galleries up on the second floor. They're up till the end of October. All are welcome to view the art. After service today would be a great time. We'll turn the lights on up there. Our fall charity drive is happening. Consider donating $100 to get a tax receipt and the opportunity to dedicate a chair to a loved one. You might notice on the backs of the chairs in front of you little plaques dedicated to folks. These are from our last chair drive. Forms are available in the cappuccino room and in our Monday emailing, and they're only available till the end of October because the plates will be installed in November. You can talk to Lauren for more info about either the art gallery or the charity drive. Okay. Neighborhood conflict resolution training, becoming a peace ambassador. Conflicts arise between members in every community. That's when we need people with training to de-escalate the conflict and help repair relationship. Peace ambassadors are volunteers who are committed to creating a safer, more inclusive environment for the entire neighborhood community. Neighborhood's Healthy Congregations Committee seeks members to act as peace ambassadors within the congregation. A peace ambassador embodies the core values of community leadership, integrity, and compassion. For more information on what the role entails and upcoming training, please contact Bruce Lyon from the Healthy Congregation Committee. His email's there. And this training is essential to become a peace ambassador. That training is happening on Saturday, the 28th, from 9 to 4. And anyone is welcome, and Bruce is here in the front row if you'd like to talk to him about becoming a peace ambassador. The fundraising team are still looking for hidden treasures or almost new or high-quality vintage items for our auctions, or certificates for any type of service you would like to provide to share your special talents are also welcome. And we have Pat from fundraising here to tell us more.
Well, what can I say? It's all up there. So we are taking items up till next Sunday. Anything that pops up comes to mind. Oh, yes, I need a voice here. Okay, so yes, if you have anything that pops up, it's not too late. Up till next Sunday, we're taking things in. Just send an email off to us. It's on the back of this flyer. Take one of these flyers because we want you to join the auction and see the goodies and bid. So thank you very much for participating, and see you down the road.
Thank you. Next Sunday, October 22nd, we are continuing our monthly theme of widening the circle with the topic, Widening the Circle. Our speaker will be Reverend Pat Trudeau. Music will be provided by our own Spirit Choir. This is the first Spirit Choir Sunday of the new year. And service weaver will be Peter Marmarick.
Thank you, Suzanne.
You're welcome.
Good morning, everyone. It's lovely to see you all again. Welcome to our Neighborhood Unitarian Universalist Congregation service. We are so happy to see you here in our sanctuary and virtually on Zoom. I'm Jillian Newcomb, and I'm delighted to be your service weaver once again this morning. Each Sunday, we start our service by creating a sacred space and bringing ourselves together in body, mind, and spirit. Let's all take a deep breath. and center ourselves here. Please join me in reading our invocation. Let us cast the circle of a sacred space here. Let us cast the circle of a cherished space here. A space of safety, a place of forgiveness, a place of love. If we want the world to change, we must craft in our space and in ourselves the seeds that grow a different kind of life. A life of graciousness, of creative intelligence, a place of life and spirit for ourselves and our families. I now ask if Prakash could come up and light our chalice. And join together to sing our chalice lighting song. We light this chalice to remember, to light the fire in our own hearts.
This morning's prelude is actually going to be sung all together. So if you would rise in voice, in body, and spirit as you are able to sing with me Jim Scott's Gather the Spirit. And Jim Scott just wrote to me this week saying he was going to be in town in a couple of weeks and could he come do the music for his service. So we'll be seeing him, I believe, the third week of November, the composer of this.
We are meeting here on the traditional territory governed by the dish with one spoon wampum belt covenant of 1701, made between the Anishinaabe and the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, which is an agreement to set violence aside and peacefully share and care for the land in the Great Lakes Basin. It is important to honor the ancestral guardians of this land and its waterways, the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Wendat, as well as many other nations, including Métis and Inuit. Today, many Indigenous peoples continue to call this land home and act as its stewards, and this responsibility extends to all peoples, including ourselves, to share and care for this land for generations to come. Our mission at Neighborhood is to empower spiritual growth and shared action for the care of our world. The members and friends of Neighborhood Unitarian Universalist Congregation are open to many beliefs and learn from many traditions. If you're looking for a community of like-minded people, you're welcome here. If you're looking for a community of, if you're on a spiritual journey, you're welcome here. If you've found us scrolling the internet and are watching us via Zoom, you are welcome here. If you had nowhere else to go and nothing else to do this fine morning and decided to just show up and see what we're all about, you are especially welcome. If you had, I'm not reading properly. Please stay after service to chat over a cup of coffee or tea. We are a friendly bunch, and our services can vary from week to week, so do come back and sample several to get a full picture of who we are and what we're trying to do. Now, in early September, the congregation held a water communion and rock covenant, and members made covenants for the year, what they were going to commit to do for our community. And later, people were curious to know what their fellow congregants had committed to, and so we offered the opportunity to write them down and put them in this covenant chest, and then we decided that we would read some of them out over the course of a few services. So I picked one out this morning, and it reads, "Do the best I can in efforts to improve the world at NUUC and Unicamp in a mindful, colorful way." Can you guess who that might have been? Yes. Suzanne Mazars is our music director and will be leading today's songs. Our director of lifespan learning is Julia Thompson. We'll offer the time for all ages. Sean Thomas is providing Zoom tech support, and Joe Strakowski is on our AV desk here in the sanctuary. And today we have a very special guest with us who will be offering the message of inspiration as well as our meditation and a question to the community. Reverend Stephen Atkinson is a retired minister who served North Shore Unitarian Church in West Vancouver in the past. He now has a few volunteer UU positions, and he guest preaches on occasion, as he is doing here today. We are very fortunate that he'll be coming back to visit us a few more times in the coming months. Today, he will speak about the onward call, or the lure, that seems to pull Unitarian Universalists toward a distant goal, and how we might respond to it. Have you ever sensed a calling or a drive towards a particular purpose? Personally, I'm still challenged by the word spiritual, but if I replace it with the expression personal meaning, it sits okay with me. The first time I felt a real call that moved me into meaningful action happened while I was still in high school. Dr. Lotta Hitchmanova, the founder of the Canadian branch of the Unitarian Service Committee, and to whom our administrative office is dedicated, used to visit my school in Montreal. once a year. I was a very child-oriented young person. I babysat, taught swimming, and lifeguarded. I really loved kids, and I still do. And when Dr. Hitchmanova spoke to us about the aid programs she established and the children her organization was helping, and in particular the Vietnamese boy our school was sponsoring, I was deeply moved. In my last year, I became the school's charitable treasurer and was responsible for driving the campaign that raised money to help clothe, feed, and educate this boy. It wasn't hard for me to get up in front of 100 kids and talk about how lucky we were and how we needed to do more than just live out our own privileged lives. I was compelled by something deeper and more meaningful to make an impact on the lives of those less fortunate. I can't say that the rest of my life has been filled with similar callings, and that is something when I look back, I sometimes regret. I mean, I've had bouts of generosity, but giving to others has certainly not been my life's mission. I think I could have done better. But my life isn't over yet, and there is still time. I am looking forward to listening to Reverend Stephen share his reflections on the call. Perhaps it will inspire each of us to look within again, widen our circle, and open ourselves to the possibility of meaningful work as individuals and as a congregation. Now it's time to get up. Spend a few moments saying hi to the people around you. Be mindful of our friends on Zoom and wave to the back camera.
Hello, Janet.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, everybody.
Susan.
Hi,
Hi,
everyone.
Dee.
hello, Sean.
Hey, Doug, Lorraine,
Hello,
Dee
Lorraine.
Dee, and Janet, and my neighbor Susan.
Hello, Deb.
Hi. Who else is here? Let me go into
Hello, Sigrid.
gallery. There we go.
Hi, Sean.
Ah,
Doug.
Sean. Hi, Sigrid.
How was everybody's Friday the
There's
13th?
Suzanne. Good, I bought a house. Yeah. Goodbye, everyone.
Oh, when we come into our calling, we become bells, calling to everyone else. Oh, come into your calling. This is a song by Lawrence Cole. I was just introduced to it like 2 days ago, and it fits so well, talking about our calling and how when we live our calling, we become a beacon and bells to others to live into theirs. I'll teach it to you phrase by phrase. Why don't we stand and give us some energy, or sit if you're more comfortable. First line goes, oh, when we come into our calling. Let's do that. Oh, when we come into our calling. Next phrase goes, we become bells, calling to everyone else. We become bells, calling to everyone else. Oh, come into your calling. Oh, come into your calling. Let's put two phrases together. I'll sing first. Oh, when we come into our calling, we become bells. Let's do that. Oh, when we come into our calling, we become bells. My turn. Calling to everyone else. So come into your calling. calling to everyone else. Oh, come into your calling. Let's try the whole thing all together. Oh, when we come into our calling, we become bells, calling to everyone else. Oh, come into your calling. Oh, when we come into our calling, we become bells, calling to everyone else. Oh, come into your calling. Oh, when we come into our calling, we become bells, calling to everyone else. Oh, come into your calling. Let's have a little round of this and become bells for each other. We'll split it. Christina and maybe the whole family can be one team there and be on the same. And here over from Lauren over will be with Allison. I have a much bigger group, but that's okay. And when we get through it a few times, we'll just loop. Oh, come into your calling. Oh, come into your calling. One more time all together, and then Allison's group will start. 1, 2. Oh, when we come into our calling, we become bells, calling to everyone else. Oh, come into your calling. Oh, when we come into our calling, we become bells, calling to everyone else. We become bells, calling to everyone else. Oh, when we come into your calling. Oh, when we come into calling to everyone else. Oh, we become bells, calling to everyone else. Oh, when we come into your calling. Oh, when we come into calling to everyone else. We become bells, calling to everyone else. Oh, come into your calling. We become bells, calling to everyone else. We become bells, calling to everyone else. Oh, come into your calling. Oh, come into your calling. Thanks, everyone.
So, hi everybody. So this is the time for all ages, and if you would like to join me, I would love that. All right. Now, it is strange to think that when I was young, I did not want to become a teacher. Because back in the olden days, when I was a kid, teachers taught very differently from the way they do now. And I did not want to be a part of that. And yet, somewhere along the way, I heard a calling loud and clear to be a teacher. And once I heard that calling, I couldn't imagine not being a teacher. It just became part of my life. I saw a need out there. I feel that students need teachers who can empower them to take care of themselves, to take care of each other, and to take care of the world. I saw a need there. And that was my calling, and it became part of me. So how do you find your calling? Maybe think about things that you enjoy doing and how you feel when you're doing these things. Maybe you enjoy, I don't know, something you enjoy, maybe cooking, coloring, but maybe those aren't things that make you feel like you're going to be, like you're meant to do those things, like you're going to change the world by doing those things. So maybe continue to do those things that you enjoy, but maybe they're more like hobbies than callings. Maybe you love animals, and maybe you feel that somehow you can make things better in the world for animals. Maybe that will be your calling. Or maybe you want to find ways of solving hunger, you know, so that people have enough to eat and so that people have like a good roof over their heads. That's an important thing. That's an important calling that maybe you'll have. Or you could have a calling like 16-year-old Greta. You've probably heard of her from Sweden, right? Who confronted the world leaders to take like not action tomorrow or next year, but now, immediate action to fight climate change. And then maybe your school, maybe you remember, you know, making signs and, you know, attaching sticks to them and maybe marching around the block near your school with your signs on fighting climate change. You know, when students decided to just walk out and go on strike on Fridays. I don't know if you did that or if you remember that. But yeah, or I guess she's 23 now, Malala from you remember that? I'm just going to finish, from Pakistan, who very courageously stood up for, you know, girls and women so that they could go to school and get an education. Did you want to say something about that? Do you know? You had your hand up?
It's just about the sign thing. So at my school, the principal told kids grade 4 and up, you're not allowed to go in the playground anymore. So kids made signs and walked around the whole playground every single recess now, saying that they want the playground back.
Good for you. You took action. You go, girl. I love that. And that's what it's all about, right? That you have the power to think for yourself and to make good choices that'll help people. That's wonderful. That's very exciting. And like everybody's calling is different. And then, you know, like it's exciting to think that you're never too young or too old. Like a calling can happen at any age. That's what Jillian was saying, you know? You never know, right? So, but a calling starts with an idea. So I'm sorry I don't have the book for you. I just found the perfect book for what I wanted to say. But just imagine, that's what I say to my students, imagine make the pictures in your mind, okay? I'm sure you guys can do that, or the rest of you. So, this is called What Do You Do with an Idea by Kobe Yamada. One day, and it's a young kid who's talking, and the kid is maybe between your two ages, so around your ages. One day, I had an idea. Where did it come from? Why is it here, I wondered. What do you do with an idea? At first, I didn't think much of it. It seemed kind of strange and fragile. I didn't know what to do with it, so I just walked away from my idea. I acted like it didn't belong to me, but it followed me. I worried about what other people would think. What would people say about my idea? I kept it to myself. I hid it away, and I didn't talk about it. I tried to act like everything was the same as it was before my idea showed up. So, but there was something magical about my idea. I had to admit, I felt better and happier when my idea was around. It wanted food. Not actual food, but you know what I mean. It wanted to play. Actually, it wanted a lot of attention. It grew bigger, and we became friends. I showed it to other people, even though I was afraid of what they would say. I was afraid that if people saw it, they would laugh at my idea. And I was afraid that they would think it was silly. And many of them did. They said it wasn't good. They said it was too weird. And they said it was a waste of time and that it would never become anything. And at first I believed them. I actually thought of giving up on my idea. And I almost listened to them. But then I realized, what do they really know? This is my idea, I thought. No one knows it like I do. And it's okay if it's different, weird, maybe a little crazy. So I decided to protect it and care for it. I fed it good food. I worked with it. I played with it. But most of all, I gave it my attention. My idea grew, and so did my love for it. I built it a new house, an open roof where it could look up at the stars, a place where it could feel safe to dream. I liked being with my idea. It made me feel more alive, like I could do anything. It encouraged me to think big and then think bigger. It shared its secrets with me. It showed me how to walk on my hands because it said, it's good to have the ability to see things differently. I couldn't imagine my life without it. And then, one day, something amazing happened. My idea changed right before my eyes. It spread its wings and it took flight and it burst into the sky. I don't know how to describe it, but it went from being here, to being there, to being everywhere. It just wasn't a part of me anymore. It was now a part of everything. And then I realized what you do with an idea. You change the world. I love that story. And I'm going to find it and bring it to you guys to show you. So what are you interested in? What is something you enjoy and you can't imagine not doing? What do you feel useful doing? It could be any number of things. It could be something totally outside the box. Maybe your family and friends can help. And that could lead to your calling. Thank you.
What a lovely story. I'm really enjoying Julia's impact on our community. I know you are as well. Now is for the special time in our service that brings our community closer together. You're welcome to come up, light a candle, speak from your heart, and share something that is currently on your mind or happening in your life.
Will you please join me in singing hymn number 112, Do You Hear? Do you hear, oh my friend, in the place where you stand, through the sky, through the land, do you hear, in the heights, on the plain, in the vale, on the main, in the sun, in the rain, do you hear, the slide, please? Through the roar, through the rush, through the throng, through the crush, do you hear in the hush of your soul, hear the cry, fear won't still, hear the heart's call to will, hear a sigh, startling trill in your soul, in your soul. From the place where you stand to the outermost strand, do you hear, oh my friend? Do you hear, do you hear? All the dreams, all the dares, all the sighs, all the prayers, they are yours, mine and theirs. Do you hear, do you hear?
Okay, I am about to read a poem, and I would love to see the slide come up. Thank you. My eyes already touch the sunny hill, going far beyond the road I have begun. So we are grasped by what we cannot grasp. It has an inner light, even from a distance, and changes us, even if we do not reach it, into something else, which, hardly sensing it, we already are. A gesture waves us on, answering our own wave. But all that we feel is the wind in our faces.
Just before I start, I want to say how lovely it is for me to be here. I've heard of your congregation for so many years, your creativity and your persistence, and I'm sure there are other qualities that I'm not thinking of right at the moment. And I was at an ordination in your old building, and I think it might have been Lynn Harrison's ordination, but otherwise, this is my first time with you, and thank you so much for welcoming me to be with you and in your pulpit this morning, and a few more times this year. Thank you, Jillian, for a beautiful reading of this powerful poem. It's certainly one of the most influential and transformative texts for me in my experience. The ideas are sometimes clear and at others vague, so it's worth reading again as a whole, but before we look at specific passages. But also thanks to the translator, Robert Bly. When I first came across this poem, which must have been in Frederick, I'm just realizing I couldn't remember when it was, but I talked to a friend of mine whose mother tongue was German, and I had her look at this translation in the poem and said, "What do you think?" And she said, "This is a very hard poem to translate." And so Robert Bly, there's one other translation which doesn't work for me, this one does. So thank you to Robert Bly for putting his spin on the lovely words of Rilke. Rilke wrote this when he was unwell and in a kind of actually it was somebody's home, but it was kind of like a health sanatorium for him in Switzerland. And my fantasy is that he had this poem come to him when he was walking through the hills and mountains and valleys of Switzerland. Here it is again. My eyes already touch the sunny hill, going far beyond the road I have begun. So we are grasped by what we cannot grasp. It has an inner light, even from a distance, and changes us, even if we do not reach it, into something else which, hardly sensing it, we already are. A gesture waves us on, answering our own wave. But all that we feel is the wind in our faces. Rainer Maria Rilke is born in Prague. I realized you had somebody speak last week about Rilke as well. And his mother's family was quite well off, which was an advantage to him for his whole life. During his early years, though, and in her grief, she raised him as though he was her daughter, because her infant daughter had died. And so he dressed her and treated her like a girl. Now, he grew up to be a very clearly cisgendered heterosexual male, but my thought is that maybe that cognitive dissonance of being male but treated as female, it allowed him to have the kind of insight past surface to deeper experience that so many of his poems show. I find this poem psychospiritually astute. And on my first reading, there's a ping of resonance within me, meaning that I felt understood by it immediately, though not that I felt I understood it immediately, and maybe I was understood by the poem as well, though I didn't understand it in detail. I mean, how could you get that in one reading? And I felt that his experience echoed something within me. And I bring it to you today because it helps me remember my longing and my call towards a deeper, more spiritual life. My hope is that it may do the same for you, or for some of you individually in some way, and perhaps also as a whole congregation. So now let's look at it more closely, picking up some of the particular phrases and my interpretation or my response to them. To me, the sunny hill reflects hope, happiness, purpose, and fulfillment. That's where the sun, illumination, sustenance, inspiration, meets the heart's longing. The hill feels like an attainable place, a real place. There's a sense that we could be there, indeed must get there, even though it's far beyond the road we have begun. And note that we have begun on the road. Something earlier, not written in the poem, perhaps even never put into words, has already led us to that road. So we are grasped by what we cannot grasp. So there's two senses of grasp here. We are grasped, feels virtually physical, like a tractor beam, if a science fiction concept can be actually physical. Something has a grip on us. What we cannot grasp feels cognitive or psychological. We don't understand rationally what it is, but we know it in some other way. Indeed, I believe this poem asserts that there are other ways of knowing than through reason alone. This intuitive grasp, this emotional response that knows in a way that is beyond reason. It has an inner light. So not just the photons of sunlight, but something radiating or glowing from the metaphorical hill itself, from the goal or the lure of it. And the inner light changes us, even if we don't reach it. The desire, the movement, the reaching ahead is part of the purpose, not just getting there. Not just arriving. If we can use the word backstory for a poem, there's a hint that earlier there was no movement, or perhaps desire was blocked, or even self-ignorance prevented any awareness of this. But something got us started, and we're different from just perceiving that attraction ahead. We're changed into something else, something different from what we've been aware of before. We were unaware of it, but hardly sensing it. We are different already. It's as though there's a sense of difference that is, there's a word inchoate, but it just means not verbal, nonverbal. As a brief aside, I should mention that Rilke, for a few years in Vienna, was the partner of Lou Andreas Salome. That's a female who was one of Freud's first psychoanalytic patients. And she went on to become one of his early followers and became a psychoanalyst herself. And I say that because Rilke could clearly be talking about the unconscious here. In fact, he almost definitely is. And for some, it might be a satisfying thing to just say, this is about the unconscious. Except that so many of his images and metaphors are about something beyond ourselves, something outside, something larger, that I feel he is talking about what we might call grace or holiness. A gesture waves us on. It's an influence or an action or attraction that is outside us, even if it also answers our own wave. Already, we're welcoming this force we barely have a conception of. Something in us recognizes what's happening, or has subtly or deeply anticipated it, yearned for it, and there it is. Here it is. Light, beauty, the lure. Yet there's a but. There's always a but. All that we feel is the wind in our faces. Not a breeze, not a fragrant whiff of lilac, but wind. There is resistance. Effort, persistence, and determination will be required. Steps must be taken. And after all, it's a hill. We have to do some climbing. We will need to climb, and I think this poem overall is about spiritually inspired living. So I'm going to tell you a brief précis of my call story, which is partly what's behind this whole sermon, and is because I think you have call stories, and your congregation does as well. So it's going to be a bit about me, but the idea is that maybe some of you will ping with certain things that I say. And my sunny hill is in fact the path that leads me here this morning. It's led me other places before this. It will lead me other places after. But it leads me here today. And it begins decades ago with a deep period of unhappiness during my freshman year at university. That's decades ago. Now, my mother told me years later that during that year, I was constantly writing home and talking to her about my inability to decide if I was going to go on to medical school, which was what I remember wanting to do, or to become a United Church minister, which I have no memory of ever wanting to do. But she does. She remembers I talked about it a lot. But what I do remember clearly is that during that year, a spiritual yearning in me awoke and wanted a believable faith in a God that makes sense. I wasn't afraid of the idea of God. I just wanted God to make sense, in action. And it led me at the time to the Baha'i faith at 18. And my whole story with the Baha'i faith is there's going to be a whole bunch of stories that you're not going to hear today. That's one of them. But that beautiful and demanding religion also has a grip on behavior in certain ways. And my immovable and obstinate sexuality just had to go someplace else. And my spiritual yearning morphs, or even I could say deforms, after that. And that's all stage one, the period in which, hardly sensing it, I'm already seeking the sunny hill. Another story for another time is that I end up in recovery from drug addiction quite a few years later. Actually, yeah, some years later. And they tell me that that is often a result of a spiritual conflict or a spiritual yearning that's morphed or deformed. 12-step spirituality becomes my religion and my spiritual practice for many years, and is so today to some extent, certainly in my personal heart and life. And this is stage two, when I begin on the road, literally step by step by step. Stage three begins with another depression. I do have healthy times. I am happy quite a lot, but spirituality seems to use my downers. It was a time of consternation about what to do with my life, now clean and sober but unfulfilling. My first career was in psychiatry. That was another calling I think about looking back, but that's not what we're talking about today. Practicing psychiatry in that state of mind was exhausting. And one day, though, after a period of time when I'm angry at God, stomping my booties, not praying, I do pray and have a profound epiphany, an outflow of grace that transforms my heart and my behavior. And I don't know what to do with it yet, but it's there and I acknowledge it. And then my father dies quickly of a wrongly diagnosed cancer within just weeks. So that's it for psychiatry and for Toronto, actually. I hang up my shingle and I move home to Fredericton, New Brunswick. I wonder if Lily is anywhere near Fredericton in New Brunswick. Now I have seen the sunny hill and have already felt the wind. It's there in my hometown in Fredericton, where there's a fellowship, that I first attend a UU service after thinking about it for at least 20 years. I finally get up and go on a Sunday and feel immediately at home in this atmosphere. A thought goes through my head during the sermon: I think I could be a Unitarian minister. And I sort of want to slap my face. What arrogance of that? You arrive and you think you could lead the thing? Yet 1 year later, I'm talking to the minister there, they had one at that time, making my own wave, and she has a gesture that waves me on to a seminary. And again, there's a lot of wind to face during that, during then, during since then. But now I come to you as a congregation. You'll have to think yourselves about how you respond to this if you do. Personally. But for you as a congregation, you begin to hear a call to provide Unitarian Universalism to East End Toronto from my reading of your history 26 years ago. And you begin Sunday services 2 years later. It takes you a while to get going, of course, to get anything organized. And you persist and you meet in a variety of places all over, here and there. But in a split second, congregational time-wise, you have your own location. Just 2 years later, I think. That's no time at all for most congregations. So that's how persistent and dedicated you were at that time. I'm sure you still are. Look at this lovely space that you've found. Soon after that, you're sponsoring refugees in coordination with a bunch of other organizations in this end of the city. Talk about widening the circle. That's what you do right away. You've been the sunny hill. You've been the sunny hill to 3 of your members who've gone on to become ministers, let alone how many of you have come out of wherever you were into a new place of comfort and blessedness and activity and justice and love and community. So this place has been a sunny hill. And you've faced winds, both ordinary and threatening, but here you are. So this is another time to get on the road. Good. Nobody wants that, but it always comes back. To face the wind, whether it comes from pain from the past, your personal pain or congregational pain, hardship, grief, even real obstacles in the present. You might have an almost painful hope, or even uncertainty and anxiety about the future. But it's time to face the wind again and climb. You see a sunny hill far ahead of you, with future ministry, however it's going to look, future service, future belonging, future community. Focusing on it and gazing at it repeatedly is both a comfort and a challenge. Your goal and purpose is to be there, but your fulfillment and your growth comes with being on your way there. It comes from now, being together. In this moment, you are on your way, fulfilling the promise of your existence. Wave at it. Let it wave back. So, let us breathe a while in silence in a period of meditation. And I have a meditation here. There it is. A time will begin with words, followed by silence and music. Take a moment now to check in with your body, to see if you are holding tension anywhere, perhaps your neck, shoulders, eyes, temples, abdomen. If you find tension, you might imagine opening a window in your mind so that a light breeze blows fresh air into you and into that tension. Let your body settle into your seat, your weight comfortable in your chair, your legs and arms where they most want to be. Take a few moments just to breathe. If the image of a sunny hill works for you, let it come into your mind in just your way. If it attracts you, take a moment to enjoy that, to ponder it. Or you can let your thoughts and body respond to the reading in the ways that you experience the world. In your depth, from your heart. If any thoughts or feelings come to you, simply observe them and let them pass through you. And now let us breathe and be a while together in silence. Now, a question that you may want to consider or to share about, Jillian will hold the mic, is how does the idea of a call or lure towards spiritual depth, or holy work, let's say, appear in your life, if it does appear in your life?
Many years ago, I read an account of the genocide of the Armenians by the Turks, and it raised for me a question of trying to understand how people could do that to one another. And as I studied more, I realized that in any of these situations, there are always people, no matter how chaotic things became, there are always people who remembered to reach out their hand and give refuge to some. So while some were picking up arms, others were opening their doors and hiding people. And I thought, how do you keep your clarity that way? And I thought, I would like to be that person. And so I began a search to understand how it is to become that kind of person.
Even if you've got a good job and good food to eat and nice place to live and so on, there's still something missing in your life.
I've often found that spiritual awakening is usually starts in the form of a rude awakening. Like yourself, I'm also a person who is in recovery from alcohol and drug abuse, and it was that rude awakening that, that maybe death looks like a real option for me, that opened the door to a different life, a life that certainly saved my life, but also brought me here to neighborhood eventually, and day in, day out. Anytime I'm really awakened by something, I've learned enough that maybe I need to pay attention very closely.
One more? Okay.
Yeah, when my mother died, it opened my heart and soul to something beyond I had never imagined, and to a deep creativity. And also I was led by our former minister, Wayne Wilder. So yeah, that changed my life.
We have time for one more?
Thank you.
One more.
I suffered from a childhood illness when I was younger, and I was cared for by so many people, and I had a calling to find a way to give back that care, and so I have found different ways, different careers to give back that care.
Thank you for sharing.
In every faith community, people are called upon to give. Volunteer work is integral and very much appreciated, but it takes cold, hard cash to pay our staff salaries and programs that we all benefit from. Members of Neighborhood can give either through the weekly collection, predated checks, e-transfers, or automatic withdrawals. For those who want to contribute now, today, greeters will pass baskets around. People on Zoom can use the link displayed on the screen, which leads you to our website donation page. In whatever way you choose to give, please be as generous as you are able. The greeters can pass the baskets back up when the collection is done.
For the offering, we're going to ask you to join in a song with us. I know the Middle East is on a lot of our minds, so we're going to sing about peace. We'll sing peace. Say peace. 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 We'll sing salam, which is peace in Arabic, salam.
Salam.
And shalom, which is peace in Hebrew, shalom.
Shalom.
I'll teach you the phrase line by line. We'll get it going. This is by Pat Humphreys of Emma's Revolution. It's been sung at peace gatherings since 2001. This first phrase goes, peace, salam, shalom. Let's try that. Peace, salam, shalom. Second phrase. Peace, salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom. Second half's a little lower. Peace, salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom. Let's sing the song in a prayerful way as we pray for peace around the world. Peace, salam, shalom. 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 May it be so. Thank you, Allison.
If you have found love and acceptance here, if you have found home here, if you have known kindred spirits here, let your offering be a token of gratitude for our common life as we build the common good.
Please rise in spirit to sing with me our closing song, originally titled Standing on the Side of Love, but composer Jason Shelton, responding to feedback from the disabled community, answered the call of love by rewriting the name of this and the chorus of this to Answering the Call of Love. Let's sing together. I like what my directions for how to play this. It says, moderate rock feel with passion and dignity. With passion and dignity. Shall we? Yes. The promise of the Spirit, faith, hope, and love abide, and so every soul is blessed and made whole. The truth in our hearts is our guide. We are standing on all of love. We will next time. Hands joined together as build a barrier to keep love tightly bound, corrupted by fear, unwilling to hear, denying the beauty we found. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one, emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love. A bright new day is dawning, when love will not divide. Reflections of grace in every embrace, fulfilling the vision divine. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one, emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love. We are answering the call of love.
Stay together, please. I'd like to ask Prakash to please come up and extinguish the chalice. And I invite everyone to sing our chalice extinguishing song.
So as we enjoy this beautiful fall day, however it is outside when we get there, and however it is later in the day, let us just take a second to look ahead and see, is there something down the road that's calling you? Maybe far, maybe close. And consider how we will move toward it. Blessings to everyone. Amen.